Welcome back to the latest edition of the Breath of Fresh Air webcast on YouTube. I am Charles Taylor, and I got Patrick Brackett with me. Say what's up, Patrick.
Long time no see.
You ain't lying about that. We have a lot of catching up to do. A lot. A lot has happened since then. I mean, we had a World Series champion, some good football been getting played. The NBA has started. And we even elected a president during this time.
What?
So I know, right? Wow. But
Long time no see.
I know. So with that said, Patrick, let's get started. And I mentioned baseball. Of course, last week, the Chicago Cubs broke their curse. First championship since 1908, 108 years. No more Billy Goat, no more Bartman jerseys, no more nothing for the Cubs. And also, seeing how they won this title, and they have a lot of young talent, this possibly, I don't know, but possibly could be the beginning of a dynasty. Could be. Because of that young talent they have in the lineup. They have some good young pitching as well. So and we'll see, man. But what's your thoughts about the Cubs breaking this curse? Oh, and one more thing before you get started, Patrick. I just want to say Theo Epstein is the best GM/president in the history of sports. Just want to say that.
Okay. I'm going to 100% agree with you.
All right.
All right. Look, the man did what he did in Boston. Now he come to Chicago and did the same thing. Look, you got to give the man credit where credit's due. You know. I'm gonna go ahead and get into the Cubs. It was a fantastic series. That kudos to Cleveland to make it as far as they did. One, two, because I didn't even see that coming. I think I had them in the playoffs, but I had them going out first round. No, I didn't have them in the playoffs at all. I picked both of my wild cards come from the East. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they went through the road that they went through, going through Baltimore, then
no, they beat Boston and Toronto.
Boston and Toronto, that's what it was. Okay, so you gotta give credit. You gotta give credit to Cleveland, man. They pitched well throughout that second half of the season up into the playoffs. They just played masterful baseball. They didn't commit any errors. They just played baseball, and you got to give them a lot of credit, man. They came out of nowhere, and they gave Chicago more than they could handle, honestly. I will say this, man. You were mentioning that Chicago could be the start of a dynasty. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But then now we're gonna have to talk about Joe Madden and some of these decisions that he made in these final 3 games of the World Series. Man, if you're going to be a dynasty, you stick to what you do. You stick to what got you there. A couple of these calls that they made, honestly, if Cleveland could have capitalized on one of them, that would have been a 4-1 series. And then since they couldn't capitalize on that one, then they should have had that second one. That could have ended in 4-2. Joe Madden cannot make these mistakes like this. He can't. And now we're going to talk about the mistakes that he made. Mistake number 1, I'm going to go with Chapman. Great addition to the game, or great addition to the team, but you can't pitch him 3 games straight and then expect him to pitch the way he has been pitching. Pulling Henderson out in that game 7 that early shouldn't have happened. But they pulled him. They put in a great pitcher in Lester, and then pulled him early. I don't know. I mean, those kind of things that you can't do that in a World Series, man. You got to play the baseball that got you there. I'm very disappointed in a lot of the decisions that he made, but his team pulled his butt out of the fire and won the championship. Good on that team, but I have a problem with Joe Madden making those mistakes.
And Joe Madden, as you know, Patrick, I mean, I'm a big fan of Joe Madden. So really a good manager. He's very good. Remember all the success he had at Tampa Bay, where he had pretty much Evan Longoria, David Price, and everybody else. I think Ben Supers was on a few of those teams also. But they didn't have a lot of talent to work with down there, and he was able to get them competing for the playoffs every year. One of those years, they made it to the World Series. 2008, I think, was the year, but they were defeated by the Phillies. But yes, I think I agree with you with the moves. I think they were some panic moves there. Pulling Hendricks out in the 5th inning, he had 1 run on 2 hits, and you pulled him after a walk on a questionable call at that. You know what I mean? I think there was a 2-2 pitch where it could have easily been called a strike, but they called it a ball, and then he ended up walking him, and then Madden was like, nope, see ya. You got to go. We're going to go ahead and put Lester in there. And same thing, like you said, in the 7th inning, you got to go, and he went to Chapman. Yeah, Chapman, I think, was worn a little bit thin. He gutted it out to keep them in there to where they got to the rain delay, and the Cubs were able to score a couple of runs in the 10th, the top of the 10th. But
should have never went there, though.
No, I shouldn't have never got there. And you also have a lineup in the Cubs that finally, after all this time, they got the Cleveland pitchers to the point where they were wearing down. Well, remember how Terry Francona has been doing the rotation. Basically, he was saying with Andrew Miller, Josh Allen, and I think the other dude was Shaw, if they could get 5 or 6 innings from their starters, with the exception of Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber could go a little bit deeper. Yep. But outside of those guys, if they could get 5 innings, the bullpen was coming in. And Andrew Miller was a beast. Allen was a beast. Shaw, all of them were beasts. But the Cubs' constant pressure, the lineup, especially the move when they went back to Cleveland, moving Chris Bryant to the 3, Anthony Rizzo to the 4, and putting Kyle Schwarber at the 2 spot. With that constant pressure through the lineup, it finally started to wear down a few of those arms. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a big factor in it also. And yet pulling Joe Madden out of the fire too. Yeah, because if they would have lost, it would have been some tough questions to answer there.
Oh yeah. And I mean, and like you said, man, Joe Madden is one of my favorite coaches, man. Him and Bobby Cox, of course. But those calls, I mean, Chapman pitching 3 games straight with 2+ innings. No, I mean, I'm still. Who's the other? Who was the other relief? I can't remember his name for Chicago.
You talking about the closer before they got Chapman?
Yeah.
Hector Rendon.
Hector Rendon. This man was still ready. He hasn't pitched in like 14 days. Put that man out there. Give Chapman some relief. And then on top of that, man, you know how I feel. Charles, what did I tell you? I text you as soon as he hit that 18th freaking fastball in a row. I was like, slider, jack. I was like, told you. I mean, those kind of things, man, as you know, I played baseball for many years. And I was a catcher. I knew it was happening. I knew it was going to happen. And when Davis stepped up and he literally reached for that pitch, man. But when I knew it was going to happen, dude, I sent you the text right before he done it. I knew it was going to happen. He's got to pitch a slider. But it was one of those things where we talked about earlier. One of the things we always talk, as long as Chicago and Chapman don't fall in love with that 102-mile fastball, because that's the thing. The one thing about 100-mile-an-hour fastball is if you lose control of that for just 1 second, it's going to get ripped. And what did Cleveland do in that 8th inning? They ripped him up. A double that drove in a run, then the 2-run homer, and then there was a walk. So I mean, that's all you have to do. You just have to put a bat on a fastball, and it's going to go in the gap, or it's going to go over somebody's head, or you're going to get a Texas League hit out of it. It's plain and simple. I mean, you're always going to hit that ball to the outfield. And They can't fall in love with that fastball. They can't. You have to do a healthy mix. He only has 2 pitches, but it's not anything wrong with pitching. And I know he struggled with it through the game 4 and game 5, or 5 and 6, or whichever one it was. But still, man, you gotta pitch it. You gotta keep your batters honest. And that should have never went to a 9th inning. And honestly, personally, I don't think we should have even seen Chapman in the game 7. Period.
Well, I understand throwing him in there in the 7th or in the 7th game because at that point it's all hands on deck. All right, you want your best people you want your best people available. And so
he could be available, but Hendricks was pitching phenomenal. And then if you do pull him out and you put Lester in, Lester could have finished that game. They were doing fantastic.
Well, Patrick, I agree, but again, game 7, you want your dudes in there. You want your dudes available. And he been riding Chapman for the longest time. So him coming in and say, if I was going to bring Chapman in, I wouldn't have brought him in till the 9th when he's supposed to, because you could have handled that. And maybe perhaps, you could have kept Lester in there for sure. But you want your guy. And the main reason why I say that in this case is because that was the only guy in the bullpen Madden trusted. I mean, he didn't trust anybody else in the bullpen for whatever reason. I don't know why, but Chapman and a little bit of Mike Montgomery. That's all he really trusted. So,
but Charles, I agree with
him coming in. I'm cool with him coming in the 7th game, but not that early. Not after he had pitched 3 innings in game 6. No.
If I need him, all hands on deck. I totally agree. But if Hendricks takes me to the 6th inning and I pull Lester in to take me to, let's say, the 9th inning, but Lester has out of 2 innings that he's pitched, he got 6 strikeouts. I'm riding the hot hand. Now, Chapman can be ready, and if I need him, I'll pull him in. But if I don't need him, I'm not pulling him in. All hands on deck. I agree. I will put a freaking shortstop in there to pitch if I have to. But if Lester is pitching the way he was pitching, which was very demanding and he was controlled, he had his emotions set to the side, he was pitching phenomenal baseball. And if I don't need Chapman can stay in the bullpen for all I care. But if I need him, he better be ready. That's all I'm saying. If I don't need him, I'm not pulling him in there. Lester was pitching phenomenal. Hendricks was pitching phenomenal. And you pulled them both out because you jumped to a conclusion that probably shouldn't have been jumped to. They were pitching fine. 4th inning? Come on, you pulled Hendricks in the 4th inning, he could have easily made it to the 6th. Easily. And then you're gonna turn around and pull Lester in the 7th, who could have easily made it to the 9th. I don't know. I mean, to me, I still think it's a bad judgment call pulling Hendricks. That was the start of where I was like, I don't agree with this game. I don't like where this game's going. But I mean, I understand the moves. I understand them, and I understand that put in your best players. But I'm only gonna put in my best players if I need them. If I don't need them, I'm gonna ride with what I got. That's what got me there. I'm gonna ride with what I got. Now Chapman, he's a good player, fantastic. But if I don't need him, I'm not using him. It's game 7. I'm trying to break a curse. I ain't trying to risk
it. You're trying to break the curse, Patrick, and you're going with the people that you trust. That's the key. He didn't trust anybody else. So I could understand. Look, all the points you made are very, very valid. And I agree with you on all those points. But looking at it from where we think Joe Madden was looking at it from, he didn't trust anybody else. So as soon as he felt like Hendricks got in a little bit of trouble, gone. See you later. Now, personally, that was the worst decision out of all of them.
Everyone.
I mean, because he's got it. I think Hendricks got to stay in there. I mean, he's been pitching phenomenal for you and throughout the playoffs. And you pull him that early with a 5-1 lead, I don't know about that.
He pitched phenomenal in game 1. He pitched phenomenal in game 4. And then you're going to pull him that early in game 7? I don't like it. I hated that call. I hated it from the get-go.
And then you pull Lester, which we documented there. But like I said, I'm just going to the bullpen. He didn't trust anyone else out of that bullpen. Like he was going to ride Chapman to the death. He was going to go down with Chapman, and he almost did. But he almost did. But that's the thing, Patrick. It's not so much where we're coming from as much as what actually happened with the situation. This dude did not trust anybody.
And that's
I
bad.
mean, that's simple. The only person he trusted out of that bullpen was Chapman, unless it was another starter, which of course he went to Lester. So what happened with Rendon and the other cat, Edwards, all those other dudes, I don't know, but he simply just lost It's kind of like what Phil Jackson does. You remember when Phil Jackson was coaching all those teams and he would play a bench, and then when he got into the playoffs, he would like shorten that bench to like 4 players. four players on a 5-person team.
That's all he was going to start. He's like, unfortunately, I got to start 5, so you get in there. He played 6 people. Everybody else was in a suit.
Exactly. And I think that's what happened with Joe Madden. I think if he's in this situation again next year or the year afterwards, I think he'll learn from this. I think he'll pitch more people. I think he'll use the depth that they have, because there's not too many teams deeper than the Cubs. And I think he'll use that if he gets into that situation again. It worked this time, but I'm sure he'll make those necessary adjustments.
Well, it was probably pressure. I'm talking. I mean, me personally, I've been chalking this up to pressure. Those bad decisions have been chalked up to pressure. 108-year curse.
It's been over a century.
Yeah, it's a 108-year curse, and he really wanted to break it, and so did Epstein. And I mean, I saw it. I mean, you could see. To me, like you said, they were desperation moves. He did not want to lose that game, and if he lost it, like you said, so many questions to ask. Can the Cubs even with this team? Can the Cubs break the curse? I mean that's a lot. That's some hard questions to answer. So I'm just chalking it up to just pure pressure. I agree. I don't think he'll make those same mistakes, because now it's over. I mean, you don't have to worry about it. They got a championship now. So I don't think you have to worry about it at this point. Maybe in another 100 years, if they don't win another World Series, maybe in 100 years, you probably have to deal with it. But they might try to bring Epstein and Madden back to life after that. But I don't see him making those same mistakes again, dude.
Well, Epstein and Madden are pretty much living members of Cooperstown now. Like, I mean, they can manage and GM and president forever. They could retire tomorrow and they're going to Cooperstown.
Yeah. They get statues raised in their names
already, as we talk.
I know they're melting the iron and gold. They're probably putting gold statues up at Chicago. They will forever be a Cub from this point forth. Those lovable little punk.
I know you don't like it. It's a cuddly animal. I get it, Patrick.
A cuddly animal. And now everybody's afraid of a cuddly animal.
Well, Patrick, before you get on the rant about the cuddly animal, we're going to get off that topic. Congratulations. Congratulations to the Chicago Cubs on breaking the curse, and to the city of Chicago. I'm sure you guys are still partying. And for those diehard ones, those diehard fans out there who stuck with them all these years, you guys deserve this. So congratulations to y'all. Well, Patrick, let's jump on some college football, man. So a lot, just like with baseball in our time of being gone. A lot has transpired. We've had a couple of college football playoff rankings. And last week we saw Alabama in a slugfest of a game with LSU win 10-0. So, I mean, I guess the question for you is, what caught your eye from the football we saw, and what are you looking forward to this weekend?
Okay, well, I don't have all the games in front of me like I normally do every week, so you're gonna have to bear with me, audience. Biggest thing, man, Alabama and LSU. That was an absolute slugfest. Nobody
I
scored until
I
the
enjoyed
fourth
it, by the way. I
quarter.
enjoyed it. I just want to say
Oh,
that.
it was
I love
dude,
defense.
I love defense too. So I was like, dude, this is phenomenal. That was probably the main game that stuck out. You'll have to tell me here. I'll pull it up on my phone. I have to see these games because I can't remember everyone. I'm a computer guy, so I got resources.
That I got you, man. So you got from last week, of course, you had Alabama and LSU. Ohio State just completely destroyed Nebraska last
Oh
week.
yeah, they did. Yeah, I remember that. Um,
And then when
dude,
you go back to the college football playoffs, so your first ranking that came out, it was Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, and Texas A&M. A lot of people were upset about Texas A&M getting in there, but of course, the next week they
that worked
lost.
itself out.
They lost to Mississippi State. So now Washington has cracked the top four with Ohio State and Louisville behind them. So that's basically the catch up right there. You know, Clemson, they're just still kind of doing their thing. They had the win in Tallahassee against Florida State before Halloween. Um, Michigan, I mean, they played Michigan State. Michigan State's definitely not the same team we've been used to seeing. And then they go to Iowa next week or this coming week. Then you have Washington. Now, Washington, this might be my upset alert here, Patrick. Might be.
Are we on
Now
next
they're
week
playing.
already?
No, well, I'm just going to throw it out there, just real quick. Upset alert might be Washington. You're not going to like the team that I'm going to say, though, Patrick, who they're playing. They're playing USC.
Oh, I got that on. I got USC on upset. Oh, you got USC beating Washington? No,
No, not beating them. Not beating Washington. I think
you just got
Washington
them on upset alert.
but yeah, it's an upset alert though because I gotta see because Washington, I think they're good. All right, I don't get me wrong. I think they're a good team, but I don't know, they really hadn't played anybody. I mean, I think their best victory is the game in Utah where they went to Salt Lake City. Another one of those games we missed talking about. But yeah, they went to Salt Lake City, beat Utah. Other than that, I mean, Stanford, they're not good. I don't know what's happened to Stanford. Oregon, not good. So, I mean, the Pac-12 is pretty weak. Quietly, USC has put together some victories, and that talent that they've been recruiting looks like it's starting to show up. So, what I'm saying is Washington has to be careful. They got
Yeah,
it. They have to come in there and do their thing. If they do their thing, I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. But they have to be careful.
they
USC
can't
does have
overlook.
some.
They definitely can't overlook that game. But I do have two games that I wanted to mention. Of course, the Mississippi State and Texas A&M. But who would have thought Mississippi State was going to be too much for Texas A&M to handle? I was actually really impressed with that. And then what was the other one? Arkansas and Florida. All right, I did. I didn't have a problem. A lot of people are like, "Well, Arkansas sucks." All right, look, Alabama has held every team to that they played, including LSU, to less than 14 points. Arkansas threw up 30 on Alabama. Alabama had to score 49 points to win that game. Why do people keep overlooking Arkansas as if they are nobody to play? I don't get it. I really don't. So they come in, or Florida comes in to them, and Arkansas just lays it on them, dude. I mean, it's supposed to be the number 10th ranked team. They're supposed to be good, but yet they get ran out 31-10. I don't get why people are overlooking this team. I'm still they're the only reason why they're not number one is because of the conference that they're in, and on the side of the conference that they are in, LSU, Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M. I mean, these teams are really good teams, and the only reason why they are not they would be number one in any other conference right now. And I'm going to say even including the ACC. I'm going to say it. Yes. That team is good, and I don't know why people keep overlooking. I just don't get it.
Well, Patrick, I think the reason why people do overlook Arkansas now is because Arkansas has been that team that is supposed to been who is who who were supposed to be the rise ups, the guys who were supposed to wreck that party that has seen Alabama and LSU and uh, in the East, Georgia for the most part, not this year really, but for the most part, I mean, they're supposed to be that team that we say that a lot of us are led to believe they could make some noise nationally. Every time you hear that about Arkansas, though, and I agree with you, they're good. They have talent. They have a good team there.
Mm-hmm.
But every time they're supposed to be on that door, about to knock it down, they lose to Toledo, or they lose to or they lose to some other one of the lower teams in the SEC.
Fresno
A team they
State.
should
Who was it they
and
lost to? UCLA.
yeah. So it's stuff like that, Patrick. Look, that Arkansas, yes, they can rise up on any week. They can rise up and they can beat somebody. I mean, the only team they haven't beaten really is Alabama. They've had success against LSU, and they've had success against whoever they played in from the East Division. But it's just a couple of games here, a couple of these games they should win that they're losing, and it's just a hype machine. Well, last year, for example, they lost to Texas Tech after blowing them out the year before in Lubbock. I mean, this is supposed to be a team they shouldn't have had that much problems with, and they lost that game. I mean, that's the thing with Arkansas. I agree with you. They have talent. They just can't put it together enough to mess with the team like Alabama or through the course of a season, like as somebody like an LSU. They might rise up and have a couple wins, but I think that's why people are kind of like, Arkansas. Got to see it to believe it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe interesting point. I guess you make a very good interesting point. They got to win the games that they're supposed to win. I guess. I mean, it does help a long way to put you in a heavy favor talk against those teams. I am going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to tell you, I think Arkansas beats LSU this week. I mean, I'm not going to say
LSU has no offense.
huh?
LSU's offense, man, and I know. Look, they played a very good defense in Alabama. Don't get me wrong, but that LSU offense is it's just not good.
It's
It
not.
ain't good at all.
It's not, there's no danger in that offense. And
You stop Fournette, you stop them.
yeah, you stop Fournette, you stop them. And I mean, I'm sitting here watching. I was watching that Alabama game, and dude, not one time did I see like the corners with their hands on their hips or bent over. They weren't tired, dude. I don't even think I seen some sweating. Honestly, I mean, I think I saw the water boy wetter than everybody else. And that's probably because he dumped water on him. He's like, "Oh, it's so hot out here." I didn't see him any sweat. I didn't see him even struggling with LSU. LSU, yeah, they made a lot of good defensive plays. They made a lot of good defensive stops, but they got a good defense. They got no offense. Anyway, we'll move to the next week. I mentioned Arkansas and LSU. I got Arkansas winning that game. I mean, I think it's gonna be good. I think it'll be a really good game. I think Arkansas will probably handle them by 14 points. In personal opinion. Um, can Texas A&M bounce back against Ole Miss?
Yes.
Probably.
Ole Miss is well. The interesting thing about that one, Patrick, is both of the starting quarterbacks are out for the year.
Yeah.
So Kelly had his leg injury. Trevor Knight for A&M had a shoulder that he messed up, his throwing shoulder. I think he messed up last week against Mississippi State. So, but yeah, A&M should beat them.
Yeah. I think so. I was looking over the. I really don't have an upset alert, man. I mean, I know you said Washington and USC, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you call that, best believe I will send you a text saying, "Hey, good call." Um, but they're playing in Washington. I don't know. I don't really see that as an upset alert. I mean, I was honestly, if I see an upset alert, it would be next Thursday when Houston has to play Louisville.
Going next Thursday.
I'll jump to next week then before I see it. I don't see. I think every team should handle their business this week. I think
They
I said
should.
that again. I said that against week 3 during what we always call cupcake week. But four out of the top 5 teams went down. I was like, holy crap. Where did that come from? But I mean, this week I see everybody handling their business. I mean, you're looking what Michigan State has a bye week this week, right? They have the bye week this week, so see they got plenty of time to prepare for Ohio State next week. Michigan doesn't have anybody next week, so I don't see them overlooking Iowa. Um, I mean,
Clemson should handle Pittsburgh.
yeah, I mean, I guess if I was to pick an upset, I don't really know if this would be a upset. Maybe Cal over Washington State.
Yeah, Washington State. Yeah, Washington State has actually surprised some people. They surprised some people this year. I mean, I don't think a lot of people. I guess that Apple Cup, as they call it, between them and Washington, it could be an interesting game there.
Yeah.
So, if Washington State's able to continue to handle business, then that could be something interesting. One more thing, Patrick, I wanted to bring up before we move on to the NFL. TCU and Baylor last week. TCU beat these boys 62-22. All right. And look, and Baylor, look, all right, so what are they doing? Well, I don't get what Baylor's doing right now. These dudes decided here's the thing. These dudes decided we're gonna wear blackout jerseys. We're gonna wear black jerseys because we want to protest Art Briles firing. Oh, you're like 8 months late.
But one, have you not took note for every team that tries to black out? Guess what? They lose.
And it turns into a funeral. Yes.
Yeah,
and I don't understand.
And it's always the widow that dies. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, it just turns into a funeral, a burial of that team who went the blackout status. I don't know. Baylor need to get some stuff straightened out, man. They are a mess of a program. Altogether, really they're just a mess of a program.
It really showed last week, though. Man, I mean, honestly, if I would before last week, I would have had Baylor as an upset over Oklahoma, but not now. No.
So I thought TCU was going to score 100. I mean,
they're about to score a century on these boys.
Well, oh man,
honestly, they could have. I mean, they had 55 points in the 52 points or whatever it was in the third quarter. They could have if they wanted to. I mean, dude, they at the half it was like 49-3 or 49-7 or something like
that. What a mess, Baylor. What a mess.
Yeah, Baylor is about as bad as Cleveland Browns, dude.
Yeah, about them.
Well, yeah, because Cleveland hadn't won a game yet, and well, Baylor won 6.
Yeah, so the NFL, man. Let's see. We don't know too much about the NFL right now in terms of how this thing is going to turn out, Patrick, because you have a muddled mess in the middle. And you just have a bunch of 4-4, 5-3 teams. Guess one thing we do know.
A couple of ties. It was the first time it's ever happened. Have back-to-back weeks with ties.
Right. All these ties. Yeah. Seattle, Arizona tied at 6. Washington and Cincinnati tied at 27 over in London.
Yeah.
and then there was almost a tie in the Raiders Buccaneers game, but the Raiders were able to score a touchdown with I think 4 minutes left.
No, it was a minute and 28 seconds left.
Was it that?
They had a minute and 28 seconds left. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Oakland broke that tie, and Oakland had a very impressive win over Denver last Sunday night too. So
my pick is looking really good in that division.
It is. Kansas City is a half game behind though. So
Kansas City is that, but don't I have them as a wild card?
I think you did. Yeah, I think you had them as a wild card. I don't think
They're
you
wild
did.
card, so they're fine right where they're at.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll let you tell it, right? But look, actually, I hope you're right about that because I want to see Oakland do something. I do.
Dude, this is the year, man. Carr looks good, dude. They have a good wide receiving core. They have a fairly good complementary run game. Carr can keep plays alive, man. I mean, he's good on the run. I mean, that's what I saw. I mean, I saw that Carr was going to be able to keep plays alive and give Cooper enough time to get open. I mean, I thought it, and then you got Crabtree that helps complement that very well. That's what I saw. I mean, in that line is not too bad. I mean, they give Carr about 3 seconds, and then he knows that he's got to get somewhere else.
It's just a matter of can that defense hang in there, and that's the thing with the
That secondary, dude.
Yeah,
you can throw all over that secondary.
Yeah, their defense they have to get better. Mm-hmm. And if they do, then Oakland can play with anybody because they definitely have the offense that can get with anybody. But they're in a lot of 35-32 games. So but if that defense can start to play, because they play pretty well against Denver, so if they can continue that, Oakland could be winning the AFC West. And I'll be glad to say you were right about it. I know I picked Kansas City to win that division. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, they're neck and neck there. Oakland's on their bye week, but they're 7-2. Kansas City's 6-2, but they'll have a tough game this week in Carolina. Carolina might be starting to get things together down there, so we'll see.
Looks like it. It looks like it.
Look like they're playing that defense a little bit better. So
yeah,
we'll see how that game turns out.
Offense seems to be clicking a little bit too. It's like Cam Newton is actually starting to. He's starting to extend plays, and that's what you got to see that from Cam Newton. He has been such a pocket passer this year, and it's really kind of thrown Carolina off because that's not how they won last year. What got them to the Super Bowl is Cam Newton extending plays, and giving the ball to Stewart some. I mean, Stewart he was only averaging 10 carries a game up until they won that game last week. So, from what I'm seeing out of Carolina, they gotta step that up. They gotta give Cam Newton the ability to extend plays and make the plays on the run like he has been. Other than that, man, defense has got to step up, and they're starting to play very well. That was a pretty good win last week, and if they continue to play like that, I mean, they're going to do what Kansas City did last year and hopefully try to look for a playoff berth. That's all you can hope for at this point. I mean, you're 1-5 and you're halfway. You're getting, what are they, 1-5, 1-6, whatever it was.
Yeah, they're 1-5.
Now they're like, no,
they're 3-5.
They're 3-5 now. Okay. So they're starting to put some pretty convincing wins together. So now that they're doing that, the defense is stepping up. Cam Newton's starting to extend some plays. They're looking like they could try to put something together. Like you said, it's a mucky mess in the middle, dude. 4-5 teams that are 4-5, 5-4, a couple that are 4-1. I mean, come on. 4-3-1 with the Redskins. I mean, it's really mucky in the middle, and I think that Carolina could have a possibility to make a playoff.
Yeah, because nobody's running away in the NFC. I mean, unless you want to say Dallas is trying to run away with it. Now, Speaking of Dallas, if they have a game in Pittsburgh this week against the Steelers, I think that would tell a lot there. I personally, I mean, I know there's this talk again, trying to decide what to do with Tony Romo when he's healthy. It's not a question for me. He sits on the bench. Dak Prescott is playing well, and he continues to play well. Tony Romo's got to sit. And it's coming from a guy, of course, who has been a Tony Romo supporter. Doesn't matter in this case. He's got to sit. You playing that well with Dak Prescott, he brings that added dimension. I mean, he can run. He's a big guy too. People forget how big Dak Prescott is. This is a 6'3", 230, 240. I mean, he's a big dude.
45.
Yeah. So I mean, this dude can take some hits and dish them out too. So, and you got him running with Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, and they have some chemistry with the passing game. You keep him going in there. And sorry, Tony, sit down, dude. You guys sit down. But that's been one of the surprises. But one of the constants is the New England Patriots. These guys just continue to roll along, just going about their business. Tom Brady putting up more Hall of Fame numbers after missing 4 games. It's just crazy. And they got a game
caught up with the rest of the league, and he gave him a 4-game head start. And he's already caught up with the rest of the league.
They got a big game with the Seattle Seahawks this week, this Sunday night. That's the Sunday night game. Oh, speaking of Seattle, are they Can we call them the biggest crybabies in the league? Can we do that? All right. Just figured I'd ask because they're kind of the Los Angeles Clippers of the NFL right now.
Oh,
these guys whine and cry about every single call. Who beat them last week? New Orleans. They went to New Orleans and they the Saints beat them 25-20, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some calls go against them. Seattle was whining and crying. But they have had some of the most blatant calls go their way. The Julio Jones pass interference on Richard Sherman. That went Seattle's way. That should have been pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
Should Atlanta have been in that situation? Probably not. But Seattle got the benefit of a call there. And then last week, so Richard Sherman just blasts into the punter. Or into the kicker, and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I was going for the ball," and then the refs called just the offsides penalty. They didn't call roughing the kicker, and then he ran right into the kicker.
I know, and then whined about it. Did you see him run to the ref? I mean, the kicker is actually picking his leg up and trying to reattach it the way he hit him, dude. And he's like running to the ref. What did I do? Like, what did you not do, bro? I mean, seriously, you crushed that dude, and you're gonna whine that you got. I mean, dude, it should have been a 15-yard penalty, but this guy they hit him with a 5-yard penalty.
And that was only because he was offsides.
It was because he was offsides. Well, I mean, and to me, I didn't even think he was offsides. It didn't look like he was offsides to me.
He was offsides. He was bad.
I mean, I didn't watch it. I just saw the hit. I didn't watch the.
He got a great start. I mean, he was past the Buffalo side of the line before the ball was even hiked.
Okay. Well, then in that case, yeah. I mean, I guess it's the right call because he was offside before he crushed the kicker, dude.
Yeah, but.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
I mean, if he was offside and the flags are coming out for that, I mean, yeah, then to me that's the right call. I mean, to me, I didn't see it. I didn't see him come off sides first. I wasn't watching a lot of that game. But when I looked back and I saw him, dude, I thought he just crushed the the kicker. But I saw the end of it. So I was like, dude, that's a straight up penalty. I don't know why he got caught offsides. It didn't look like an offsides to me, but I didn't see that part. So if he was clearly offsides, he was clearly offsides, Charles. That's what you get flagged for.
Patrick.
I'm just saying. I mean, if he was offsides first, then you got to hit him with the first penalty.
I guess. I would have thrown every flag in the book on Sherman on that play,
I
but
would have thrown the book at him, dude.
oh my goodness, yeah. No. Oh wow.
But I have to say one thing, and then we can move on. I got to give props to my Atlanta Falcons, man. Didn't see this coming at all. I know I've said this week after week, man, but I didn't see this at all. And dude, they have the number one offense. What? From where? Where did this offense come from? I gotta give them credit, man. I mean, Matt Ryan, I have criticized him for years. You've criticized him for years. Didn't think that he has stepped up to a new role, and here I am giving credit to this piece of crap. Good job, Matt Ryan. I guess.
He's playing like the elite quarterback people anointed him to be.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If he been in the league for a while, I mean the nickname Matty Ice, all that. So I mean, if you're getting called Matty Ice, then you need to start performing like Matty Ice. And
Yeah.
so far this year, he has been that guy. He has been doing his thing. I think they'll have a pretty tough game this week. They're at Philadelphia. The defense for Philly is pretty good. So we'll see how he does there. But they're able to go in there to Philadelphia. Things look good. They just have to just continue to take care of business in the division. They have two more games in the division. They split with Tampa Bay, and they beat New Orleans in New Orleans, and they beat Carolina at home. So they still have to play the Saints and Panthers. They just continue to take care of business. Then Atlanta.
No, they split the Saints. They split Tampa Bay, and they got one more game with Carolina.
They haven't played the Saints twice yet.
Yeah, the Saints beat them game one of the season.
No, they beat the Saints. They only played that one time in New Orleans.
No, dude, the Saints played them twice.
No, they haven't. No, they
Tampa
haven't.
Bay was the team that beat them in game one. You're right. You're right. So they do have the Saints and Carolina left. All right. You're right.
All right. Well,
I kept thinking it was the Saints that was the team that they split with. And no, but you're right. Tampa Bay was the team they split with.
it's all good, man. It's all good. Hey, you got all the technology. You should check it. But
Hey, my internet's not working right, man. After this, I gotta fix it. I would fact check myself, but can't do it. Damn internet don't want to work.
well, Patrick, let's talk about.